So somewhat controversially, I got this phone 6 months ago. It's an iPhone 13 Pro. I got it for a great deal. I added a line to my T-Mobile lines, I guess, whatever account, and I offered the upgrade to my sister. She said, I don't need it. I offered it to my wife, and she said, I don't like the colors they have. And I said, well, if we're going to get a $1,000 phone for $100 or $200, somebody ought to take it. So I decided to take it myself. And 6 months later, I have a lot of opinions about this phone, and none of them really have to do with any of the phone things. I will go over a brief little review about the actual phone itself. The screen, unbelievable. The refresh rate on the screen is just next level. It is so smooth. I go back to my wife's iPhone 11, and it feels like I've taken a step back in time, and it's like the 1930s again. That's the best thing I've ever used. Face ID is wonderful. Love Face ID. Very useful to quickly sign into every single one of my accounts. Worries me a little bit that I have everything linked to Face ID. I mean, it just is how it is now. Passwords and everything are linked to that. So does that concern me a little bit? Yeah. Is it going to keep me up at night? Probably not. Face ID is amazing, this thing. The cameras are just, they're unbelievable. They're next level. I love these things. Are they as good as this camera? No, they never will be. The sensor's too small. But I will say that for a phone camera, it's the best camera I've ever used. It's amazing. Every picture looks so good, and I don't know how. And I suck at making videos and taking photos. So this camera is next level. The screen's next level. Face ID is amazing. The buttons, the actual design of the phone, I think is great. I really love this soft touch glass they have in the back. I think this is such a great, I don't know how they did this, but I think it's great. The metal band around the phone is awesome to touch. I have it most of the time in a case because this thing is definitely going to break because I'm clumsy and I'm always doing things where my phone is at risk. Like I'm taking measurements out in the garage and I have this thing precariously perched like this and it always falls. The speed of the phone is great. When you download something, it takes no time at all. When you touch an app, it's really responsive. I mean, the phone's amazing. And I think that's like kind of the crux of this is if you're watching smartphone reviews in 2023, I would begin to question like kind of why. You're on this video, and I'm not trying to attack you because I like tech a lot, but why? It's amazing. I mean, what do you think of this phone? Well, it's the best. I mean, everything that's been made in the last 5 years is unbelievable. You never would need more than what has been offered to you. What you can buy right now is a budget phone, a last year's model, is unbelievable. I mean, this phone is unbelievable. It's an iPhone 13 Pro, and it's unbelievable. You would never need more than this. You just don't. This is enough. So you're watching this review. You're wondering what you think of what I think of this phone. I think it's the best thing that I've ever used. Like, of course it is. It was $1,000 smartphone, and it's 2023. Every phone that's coming out now is amazing. There are minor differences. Oh, the camera. Oh, there's always like those little fake headline things, like with the Samsung phone zooming in on the moon and then altering the image a little bit. Who cares? It's a smartphone. It's taking pictures of the moon, and we're complaining about the moon. And I can feel myself getting agitated because it's like, well, the picture of the moon is a picture and it looks similar to something I could find on Google. You're taking a picture of the moon, like the moon. We're talking about the moon. You get to take a picture of it. And you're complaining. You know, there are a lot of priorities that have just been completely flipped on its head in the last 10 years because of these phones. And people will complain about the minute details, the tiniest little things. You'll play a game with your friends on the internet. They will be 3 states away, and you'll complain every single time your character lags a little bit. You're playing a virtual game on a virtual screen with people that are countries away in some cases hundreds of miles, and we're complaining. That's where we live. And I get that. It's like you kind of want that complaint because it does make everything better. You don't want the game to lag. So if you complain about it, it'll get fixed. Somebody will invent something to fix it, or they'll invest more money into the servers and make the servers better. Whatever it may be, it'll get fixed. So you kind of want those complaints. But at the same time, too, it's like it's starting to understand what we're complaining about. And we're complaining about phones. So why do we complain about phones? Well, the phone is it's the invention. I mean, it's the same thing with the internet. It accesses the internet. I think the internet's the best invention. Smartphone is like 2, and then the wheel is like 3, and then Fire is 4. Maybe you could switch Fire and wheel, but you know, the phone and the internet, that's the best one. I mean, the printing press is up there too, but the internet, the amount of data that we're able to access, it's unbelievable, right? So when we have these smartphones and we complain about certain things, it's like, well, why are we complaining about that? Well, because we want to use our phones. We want to use our phones a lot. We want to interact with our phones hundreds of times a day. We want to use it for hours and hours and hours a day. So when you're considering buying a new phone, and this is a last year's model, budget model, I'm glad you're here. Don't buy it. And I'm not going to say for everybody. I think for me, my smartphone usage, I am so active and aware about it. I think about it all the time. I think about it every single time I watch a video. I think about whenever I use it. Whenever I'm interacting with my phone, I have this thought in the back of my head saying, you shouldn't be doing this, or it's okay because, you did all this stuff today and you're just relaxing. It's okay to relax every once in a while, Scott. Most people don't think like that. Most people don't understand what they're signing up for when they start using these phones. And when they start using these phones for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours in a day. Look at your screen time right now. If you don't have it on, turn it on your phone. I don't know how to do it on a Samsung phone or an Android phone. On an iPhone, it's very simple. It's in the settings, and just search screen time and then flip the thing. And then you'll get to see how much you use your phone, and you'll get to feel really embarrassed about how you waste 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 hours of your life scrolling on TikTok, watching YouTube videos. And then you can come back to this video and say, wow, Scott, you made me feel like crap today. Thank you. And then I'll say, you're welcome. So then now that you feel like crap, we can grow. We can grow from there, because that's kind of the place where most growth comes from, is when you make a mistake or when you learn you do something wrong. So how do we grow from that? Well, we have to start to manage our screen time, and complaining about phones not making them addictive enough is the wrong way to think about phones. Phones, we need to start considering phones for what they are. They're kind of like drugs. I'm not saying that definitively a phone is a drug per se. It doesn't have the exact same negative side effects as some drugs, but in some cases with some people, it actually kind of does. I mean, drugs are bad because they ruin your life and they take your life away from you. They take your autonomy away from you because all you can think about are drugs. Is that not smartphones? I mean, is that not what you think about all the time? TikTok? Oh, when's the next time I can scroll on TikTok? Maybe you don't actively think about that, but every time you're in line at Chipotle and you got a few free minutes, you pull your phone and you start scrolling because you can't help it. Because this thing owns you. It owns you. It owns your brain. It owns the way you think. It owns the way you interact with the world. It owns your opinions. It owns the way that you interact with people. So why are we complaining about these? I know why we do, because we want our things to be the best, because we're humans. That's what we do. We strive for more and greater. So when we start to think about these smartphones and you start to think about wanting to buy and upgrade a smartphone, a new one, I think what you really need to consider is, can I handle a smartphone? Is this something I can handle? My future kids won't be able to handle a smartphone. They just won't. And I know that because I'm an adult, and even I struggle with it, and I have a fully formed frontal cortex. I'm 27 years old. I know how to interact with a phone, and even I can't trust myself sometimes. So you probably can't trust yourself either. The best way to probably do it is to get rid of the phone, is to just get rid of it. Don't upgrade. Continue to use the phone that you have and save the money. Or if you are to buy a new phone, maybe consider buying something that's a little bit cheaper, that's less attractive to you, something like a flip phone. I think that society has been built around smartphones, so it's hard to give up smartphones. There are so many things that life is better with when you have a smartphone. But there are a lot of negative consequences that come with owning a smartphone like this that you really need to reconcile within yourself. How many minutes a day are you comfortable using your phone? Are you comfortable wasting your life on your phone? Because you're not. I mean, I know if you said you are, you're not. And if you say that, then you need to really start thinking about, what's the point? You need to be better. You need to just do better than that. You can't just sit here and say, well, I'm okay with wasting my whole life on your smartphone, because you shouldn't, because honestly, you're worth more than that. You're better than that. You might as well go build something. Even if it sucks, just go build something with your hands, get down and dirty and do something, because wasting your whole life on your smartphone, you're going to look back in 10, 20 years and think, uh-oh, what did I do? And you're not gonna be able to fix that. It's gonna be 20 years, and you're not gonna be able to fix that. You probably feel sick about how much you use your phone in the last 1 or 2 or 3 years. You're not gonna be able to fix that. You can't go back and change it. There's that old adage that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. So plant a tree of not using your phone. Should you buy an iPhone 13 Pro in 2022, 2023, whatever? No, I would say don't do it. Not because you should buy a 14 or a 12. I would say maybe don't buy a smartphone. Maybe don't upgrade your smartphone. Save the money and consider buying something a lot cheaper, or figure out how to use your phone a lot less, and then you can consider upgrading. You have to learn to use your phone a lot less, and if you can't, then downgrade. You have to. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your future self. The way I think about every decision that I make is, what will tomorrow Scott think about the decision I'm making today? Well, tomorrow Scott could be an hour from now, 2 hours from now, 2 days from now, 2 weeks from now, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. Future Scott is going to be proud that I filmed this video. Future Scott's going to be disappointed if after I film this video, I sit on my phone and scroll for 2 hours because then I just wasted a bunch of time. So think about what future you wants, what are the goals that you have set aside for yourself, and how can you start to get there? If you want to be somebody that's in better shape, you have to sit down and think, okay, how can I do this? Spending a bunch of time on your phone, laying on the couch or laying in bed is not a good way to do it. Going outside, you can listen to a podcast on your phone. I think that's wonderful. You can listen to videos that are as good as this. I mean, these are the best videos on my channel, but there are probably videos that might be somewhat as good as these, and maybe a little bit worse, but somewhat in the same ballpark. And you can listen to stuff like that, but you really have to start to consider the content you're interacting with on your smartphone and how often you're interacting with that content, because you owe it to your future self to do better, because your future self is going to be your present self in no time at all. So thank you for watching the video. I will see you guys in the next one. Sorry for yelling at you, but you need it. You need to be yelled at sometimes. Because we all need to be yelled at sometimes so we can get our butt in gear and we can do more, because we can all do more. I think we all can do more. So thank you guys for watching the video. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.